down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no fear.
Welcome to the show, guys. We got Jimmie online with us. What is going on, Jimmie? We are ready to rock this show, explaining who to draft in the second round, who to avoid. The second round solved right here. Studs and duds for round 2 fantasy football draft. What's going on, Jim? What's going on, man? I'm pumped about fantasy football. It's here. I'm excited. Are you?
Feeling good. Oh, so excited about the upcoming year. You know, I've got a couple of high stakes drafts going on right now. I'm doing those slow drafts, and they're taking forever, but they're fun. You know, I got to say, I kind of enjoy not having the pressure cooker of that 30-second timer and instead having a 6-hour timer on my players. It gives me a good chance to really overthink my process, you know, when I try to pick players. But I got some great teams I've put together so far, so I'm really happy with how they're coming together. So
me too. I'm really confident about the season. 16-round draft solution is out. Make sure you guys get it below. But today I want to focus particularly on the second round. Who to draft in the second round. You know, you don't want to make any mistakes in those early rounds. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the optimal Cuddy players in the second round. Okay. So omitting the guys we don't like, and we're going to give you the optimal players based on Cuddy. If you don't know what the Cuddy system is, it's consistency, upside, durability, depth, and youth. And if you guys have not got the 16-round plus tool, we're going to pull it up right now, going over the second round in detail based on the Cuddy score. Jim, do you want to explain it a bit more here? I'm going to start pulling up the screen here. Again, this is totally focused on the second round. Now, I did a video on the first round. Go back and check it out. Just scroll down my videos. I did the first round, who I like. I like Bijan. I like Jonathan Taylor. I like Jamar Chase. There's a bunch of other players I like in round 1. This is specifically focused on round 2. Deep dive. It's a full deep dive, so you know the optimal player. So, Jim, let's talk about the 16-round plus tool and where to get it and how it's going to help. We're going to see it in action right now. So I'm going to pull up the screen here, Jim. Let's dive into it. I'll let you take over here and kind of explain this.
Yeah. So this is a live app, a live draft tool that you can bring in with you on draft day, and it's really going to help you make the right decisions at each and every round of your draft. It provides a customized listing of players, and when we talk about the Cuddy system, what we do in the app is we score all the players according to the Cuddy system. So based on how they rate on things like consistency, upside, durability, depth chart, and youth, they score points. Those points are added up. That gives them a Cuddy score. The Cuddy score is on the left-hand side of the screen there. It's those numbers that are in the colors. So there's either green circles or yellow triangles or red stop signs around the Cuddy score. And when you're in draft mode in the app, what it's doing is it's sorting the players. Instead of sorting them according to their draft position, it's sorting them according to their Cuddy score. So the highest rated players are at the top of the list. The lowest rated players are at the bottom of the list. All you do, focus on the players at the top of the list, avoid the players at the bottom, and you're going to do just fine for your draft. So that's basically how it works. And
that being said, let me add on that. Just because they have a Cuddy score doesn't mean I'd necessarily draft CeeDee Lamb over Najee. If you're in the second round and you went Bijan and you want to double up on running backs, Najee's a good option here based on the Cuddy score. Now, again, he's in a good position, improved O-line. We factored them all in, okay? You can see it's a counselor recommended pick, and there's also icons by them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, contract year, very safe, very consistent, the wide receiver 1 on his team. Again, address your needs. Don't necessarily go just because he's on top, I got to grab that guy. Make executive decisions, and also at the end of the day, use your gut feeling and say, hey, I'm torn between Najee and Amon-Ra. Who do I feel better about? I feel better about Najee, go with that. So we're just giving you a guideline based on optimal positioning for the draft. Is that correct?
Exactly. And we're giving you options. That's the other thing. You don't want to get like hyper focused on a single player, because if that player then gets sniped right before your pick, and you know that happens all the time, this is giving you options. And it's also important to note that this is just players 13 through 24. When you're in a draft, you know, let's say you're picking 6th, when you're looking at the first round of the draft, it's going to show you players with the draft position between 6 and your second pick at 19. So that's the group of players you're going to look at. It's going to have those players sorted by the Cuddy score. Likewise, even if you're picking 12th, this is like kind of the list you would see if you were picking 12th. You're also going to see players from 12 basically to 35, because that is your group of players that you're going to look at because you're going to get to pick 2 of them, basically, is what happens. So
All right, Jim,
again, it's custom. It's a customized breakdown of the top 250 list, depending on the size of your league and your draft position. So it's very helpful in that way.
All right, so let's just dive into this. I'm going to go pull up round 1 here real quick, just so you have a quick look. Again, and we'll get just to give you a quick overview. Bijan's my favorite player this year. Jamar Chase, you got Jefferson, and then again, you can see the money sign here, contract year. All the variables play into a factor on why they're ranked on top, okay? As you can see here, Jonathan Taylor, he's a top player, but he was injured last year, coming up to a contract year. You got all this information here, bounce back, the little green. You got all this extra data. And to get this, guys, head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. You can get the app right now under programs. Secure this app. It's going to put you light years ahead of the competition. So we've said round 2, so let's just dive right into it. They kind of understand it now. They get it, Jim. So who do we like in round 2? Who is your favorite player in round 2? I'll kind of go over my favorite player and kind of just go over other players we draft if that player is not there, and kind of just have an open discussion. Let's go. Who do you like? Who do you really love in round 2?
Well, I gotta say, man, there's a lot of excellent choices in round 2. But what I really like to get, man, I like to get myself contract year players. I like to get myself ascending players, guys that are really have a chance to increase their workload and become an elite option. Garrett Wilson is an awesome choice. I love CeeDee Lamb because it's a contract year for him. I love Amon-Ra because it's a contract year for him. Those guys are very, very strongly rated in the second round. Najee Harris is another one that rates extremely well, just based on workhorse volume and an improved offense. Again, all these guys rate very highly on the Cuddy score. They're right at the top of the list. I love them all. I think that it just kind of depends on how you're building out your team, how you're constructing it. Are you going robust RB? Well, take Najee, or maybe you took Bijan in the first round. You get to the second round, man. If Amon-Ra or Garrett Wilson are sitting there in the second round, dude, take him. That's a great option to go with, to pair with an elite option like Bijan. So it just kind of depends on how you want to build out your team.
Okay, let's play a quick scenario here. So Jim, what we've done here, let's just say round 1, I went Bijan. Or Bijan, or whatever you want to call him. And I'm looking now. So I love the double stack here with Bijan and Najee. If you want to play a little risky here, I like Breece Hall in round 2. And again, he's recommended here. But you got that injury designation here. He's coming off that injury. But you can see the bounce back. So you see everything is kind of laid out. Not everything's kind of laid out for you. Everything is laid out for you here, Jim. So I'm looking at this and I can see the options. I can make executive decisions and proper decisions based on everything laid out in full detail. And if I want to click on that name, I get even more detail here about him. Okay. So
absolutely.
It's great.
And Breece Hall is one of those guys right now. His Cuddy score is being suppressed because he's got the injury designation, right? If we get into training camp and this guy comes in full participant in practice, we see him in the preseason for a series or 2. Guess what? That injury designation goes away. His Cuddy score skyrockets. He vaults up the draft board. You will see that. But until I see that, he's going to kind of be here as a risky pick. And I do feel that he is a risky pick because he's coming off of that injury. You don't want a slow start in fantasy football. I want a guy that's ready to go day one, so that's where he is right now.
Tons
but
of good
change.
combinations.
It can improve.
So again, you got to be, weigh out your risk. So if you went Bijan round 1, you're almost safe to go Breece Hall because you've kind of got yourself covered. If you went a guy like Jamar Chase, let's go over here. And let's just say we go to round 1 and you go Jamar Chase round 1, which is a fine pick. I mean, the guy is primed for a big season. The guy finished top 12 last year and he played 12 games last year.
He played 12 games. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go Jamar Chase, it might not be the smartest move to make Breece Hall your round 1. And this is what the 60-round draft solution does. I do full mock drafts for you guys explaining it. But again, this tool for people that want more is ultra exciting because I can pull this up and you can pull it up on your phone. It's mobile friendly. You pull this up, you've got all this extra amazing data. You go to round 3, which we're going to give you a sneak peek here too. And again, you can get the app on your own. If we go to round 3, it's going to give you all the optimal players here, some counselor recommendations as well on top so you guys can make decisions. Now, Kenneth Walker, round 3, good value. He's RB1 on his team. Is he my first choice? Not necessarily. There's other options. And again, I do full mock drafts to give you different combinations of these. So going back to round 2 here, Jim, so you went round one, you went Bijan or Taylor. Round two, who are you taking? Pick one.
Well, I mean, obviously, for me, I think we've already talked about this as far as a choice between like Brees or Najee. I would take Najee just because he is healthy. He's going to be a workhorse on the team that's going to be pretty good. So,
Yes.
I would take him over someone like Brees Hall. But also, you don't want to ignore some of these elite wide receivers because they can really make a difference on your team. And I do consider Garrett Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, and Amon-Ra amongst the best of the elite wide receivers that are available in the second round. So depending on how you want to build things, and I know that in some leagues, Najee can actually fall to the third round, which is great value, man. I have been getting a lot of Najee in the third round in a lot of drafts. But those are mostly best ball drafts, but it's important to know, like, when do you need to target a player if you really want that player?
Right. All right, yeah, I'm going Najee round two. I like him. I like, there's other good options as well. I like Garrett Wilson. There's so many good options. Again, it depends on what I do first round. Again, at the end of the day, that's why I said it's up to you to make that decision. So, yeah, guys that I'm probably avoiding round two. I mean, they're not even on here, are they? The guys that I'm avoiding, you didn't include them in the app.
Let's look at the bottom of the list. Who are the three players at the bottom of the list right now? And the lowest Cuddy score player right now is Travis Etienne. Who, although he is, we love the Jacksonville offense. I think they're going to do very well this year. Travis Etienne is going to have to share that backfield with Tank Dell this year. And you're of the opinion that Tank Dell is probably going to take over the backfield.
Tank Bigsby. You're thinking you love Tank Dell. I know you.
Oh, Tank Bigsby. You're right. I'm sorry. Tank Bigsby. Yes.
I know you love Tank Dell because you're the one who originally told me about him a couple months ago.
Yeah.
He's the wide receiver. You're so obsessed with that guy. I know you are, but no, Tank Bigsby is what you meant. And
Tank Bigsby. That's what I meant. Yeah. Sorry about that.
They drafted him in the third round. They're definitely going to use him, and that's what I'm thinking, man. It's like you draft a guy in the third round. ATN has had 2 years. 1 year he didn't play. The second year is very inconsistent. A lot of people love an ATN. I'm just not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying the ATN.
Right. Yeah, and his consistency score on the app is pretty low. It's a 3 out of 10. That's not great. You don't want those kind of players, especially early in your draft. They're very risky. T. Higgins is another one that's just a very low consistency player. You don't want him. And I also think that Travis Etienne is a bad value in the second round because, again, he is going to be sharing time with Tank Bigsby. And so I don't think Travis Etienne is going to get the volume that he got last year. So that hurts his upside. So, he only scores 10 Cuddy points, which is way lower than someone like Najee Harris, who scores 77 Cuddy points. So, again, it just makes it easy to draw a comparison. Oh, who of these two should I pick? Oh, it's easy. Najee is clearly the better option than Etienne. And, next on the list is Tony Pollard, who, as you know, broke his leg in the playoffs of last year. So he had his leg immobilized for probably 6 or 8 weeks, muscles atrophy. He's rehabbing back now. But who knows if he's going to be full strength by the time the season starts.
I don't think he can handle a full workload. I don't think he can.
Yeah, and I don't think he can handle a full workload either. I'm betting that the Cowboys are going to bring someone else in. They're either going to bring Zeke back on a restructured contract, or maybe they'll grab, Kareem Hunt or Leonard Fournette or someone like that. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of upside here for Tony Pollard, but again, if he comes into the preseason and he's playing, he's back on the field and we see him, full participant in practice, he'll lose that injury designation. His upside will go up. His Cuddy score will go up. It'll move up the board. I'm not sure if he'll move up to the point where he would be a recommend. I think he's still going to be a risky pick. But, right now he is hurting because, again, he's another injured player like Brees Hall. He's being held down on the list because of that. But I wouldn't draft him, especially in the second round. That's crazy.
Well, we've laid it out for you guys. Round 2 optimal picks. We're laying it out in plain English or whatever language you speak. It's right here in English. We've got it covered for you. I hope English is your main language because we've laid it out A, B, C, or D. There's no other way to simplify this for you and make sure your roster is optimal. So right now, guys, head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. I've also linked it here below on YouTube under programs and grab the 16 round plus tool immediately, guys. You do not want to miss the opportunity to make sure your roster is completely optimal. We've taken a lot of time to do the research and homework and done the research for you. Now, is Etienne going to go off? Maybe. It's fantasy football. You cannot be 100% accurate, but we're doing everything we can to mitigate that risk and make sure your roster is as bulletproof as possible. So that's what we're here to do. And the 16 round plus tool ensures that we get you as close as possible to that bulletproof roster, Jim. That's it. I mean, there's no other way to say this.
Yeah, you have a good draft, you're going to have a good season. That's the thing. You want to draft the right players, the strongest players, the players that meet those Cuddy criteria, and that is going to ensure that your team will be successful. So, again, by just and one of the nice things about the app is, once you're done with your second round pick, you just click to the arrow to the next round and you look at the top 3 players on that round. It's very useful. There's lots of times in drafts where I'm like, well, if I pass on this player, what kind of, if I pass on this wide receiver this round, who can I get in the next round? I'm like, oh man, that's much worse. I'm like, oh, I guess I should take a wide receiver this round instead. And next round, it looks like a better round for running backs. I'll go with that strategy. It's really good for helping to lay out exactly how you want to build your team.
And again, what I really love about this one, the most of all, is again, you just have all this information. Like I know T. Higgins is in a contract year without having to look that up anywhere else. It's all in front of me, right? I know that Mark Andrews had a bit of a down year. He's due for a bounce back. Like I'm fully aware of what's going on. There's a line beside it. The counselor likes it. So again, this is like on a silver platter for you guys. 16 round plus. Go head over there right now. And that wraps up today's show. Round 2 solved. All the answers were there for you. We just gave you the cheat sheet. There you go, Jim.
Exactly. So get the app. It's going to remain, it gets updated all the time, constantly through the course of the fantasy preseason. And you can use it in as many drafts as you want. And it's got all these different modes. It's got a mode for best ball. It's got a mode for full PPR, half PPR, standard points. It's got a list for high stakes, tight end premium leagues. It's very useful and will absolutely help you dominate in your drafts.
All right, guys, there you have it. Smash the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. More content coming your way. Let us know who you're drafting in round 2. Drop it in the comments below. Thanks, Jim, for being here. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Counselor.
We're out, guys. Talk soon.